Hey everybody, welcome to American Idol Unaired. I'm your host, Bennett Shearer, and today we have another aired exception. This is somebody that you did see on season 21 of Idol. Please welcome Reette Thorns.
Hi.
You were just telling me this is your first podcast interview. I'm very honored to be your first podcast host. So, how you feeling talking about Idol for the first time in a little bit?
I feel kind of like nervous, but I feel like after I've said my piece and like everything, I feel like more relieved. Like I don't have to keep everything inside.
So, how did the journey start for you? Were you approached? Did you try out yourself?
I did try out myself. I seen a pop-up ad on Instagram. It was like a couple of days before I had my next shift. I think it was a couple of days after I had like COVID for the third time. And I was like, oh, like I'll sign up for this, like whatever. And then I got over my sickness. I got back to work and I got an email that said like the first 500 people to sign up gets like a kind of like a special audition day where they get to audition first, like the first 500 people to ever audition for the new season. And so I did that. And that's kind of where my journey started. Like I think I auditioned August 3rd and they told me on that day. So
And what was your prior musical experience? A lot of performing, original songs, anything, stuff like that?
I do not have a very huge musical background. I think I knew that I could sing when I was 10 years old. The movie, the last song had came out with Liam Hemsworth and Miley Cyrus. She has a song called When I See You that comes on at the end near the credits. I started singing that. I was like, that sounds like unusually well. So I told my mom, and she got me into a choir, and I was very on and off with the choir, and I never really learned anything. I didn't really have necessarily a teacher or a mentor who really wanted me to do that. So, and I didn't do choir in high school. I never took any singing lessons. I never made music. I didn't know how to play instruments before I tried out. So I was just going in blind. I was like, I have this big loud voice and like someone's gotta like it, I guess. So
What were you expecting going into it as far as, just the outcome and how far you would make it? Like, because just even getting on the Zoom call at first, there are so many other people and many rounds to get through. So your very first round, how are you feeling?
I was feeling like it wasn't that I wasn't it's not that I wasn't confident. It was more, that I had tried out for so many different times for lots of things like AGT, The Voice, American Idol previously. And so it was just like, oh, I'm just gonna like keep doing it. Like it wasn't even, I didn't think anything of it. So I was kind of like, I was nervous, but in the back of my mind, I was thinking, it's the same thing's going to happen anyway, but we're still going to do it. Like the same thing is they're going to say like, okay, like, well, we'll hit you back later and never do. So I wasn't even expecting, to move on to something that they call the winner's circle. So it was a complete shock. This is the first time I've ever made it past anything. Like I've never made it past The Voice. Okay, so I've only tried out for The Voice since they've been virtual. I've never been in person for any tryouts for any of these shows, which is how it was, 2019 and previously. And same thing for AGT, same thing for American Idol. I've only ever tried out virtually just because of trying to get to the locations, having to pay for it. My circumstances were, I was not that fortunate. So I never got to do that. So it's only ever been in the last 3 years really that I've tried out for these shows.
I imagine there's a sense of less frustration if you don't make it, because imagine taking all that time, spending the money to go to a cattle call only to be told no right away. So you just invested all of that time and money and you were like, what was all that for? Versus waiting around in your break room or something at work.
Yes, exactly. That's like the biggest thing. Like I would be so incredibly hurt if I, saved up and found, ride arrangements and so on and so forth. And just to not have, and multiple times too at that. For as many times as I've tried out for these types of shows, if I was trying to do that and I didn't have, Zoom to save my life, I would be hurt.
So what do you think it was about this particular show, this particular season? where it finally worked out and you got that yes?
I think that there was a lot of potential that was like seen in me. I think it was I think I was in a much better space vocally in the comfort of my own home than I was maybe a year or two ago. I chose a good song, and it also related to my story. So I think that was a little bit of it. Any other time that the judges or the producers have heard me sing other than that audition room, including during Hollywood Week, was so much better than singing in front of the celebrity judges in that audition room. So I think that they got to see a lot of like who I was musically when I wasn't so nervous and less confident. So I don't know. I feel like they saw more so potential than anything.
What did you sing that first time?
For my initial audition over Zoom, I sang the same song. So I sang,
Oh, you did sing I Believe, right?
yeah, I sang I Believe, I'll Never Love Again by Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper, and Shallow by Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. Those were my 3 songs. So I sung all 3 of those twice before they said yes.
What city did you audition in?
I went to Las Vegas.
I think that's like the first audition city. So didn't they have like a whole like party or something, or not party, but like they're like, let's roll out the red carpet and have all the contestants stand around and cameras and stuff, right?
I missed that. I don't know
really?
what I was doing, but I missed that. I was not there to do that, but that was the city that they did it in, yes.
Oh man. Okay. Well, you probably met a lot of other cool contestants, right? And got to make friends.
Oh, yeah. Some of my favorites probably be, Ashley Tankard. There's so much life inside of that girl. I didn't get to spend that much time with her during Hollywood Week, but we were also in Las Vegas together, and we didn't really get close until after. And then I didn't get to spend that much time, but like I spent a lot of time with Lucy Love. The whole time I was in Hollywood, we got dinner together. We woke up, we sang together. She did some vocal lessons for me. I spent a lot of time with her. Sam Harness, he didn't get aired. He was on The Voice as well, but he didn't get aired for American Idol at all. I don't even think I've seen him on TV once. Really, really good friend. Corinthia. I have some friends who didn't even make it to Hollywood Week though, but PJ, Wayani, like there's so many different people. Like I can't even process the love that this specific group of people it's ridiculous. Mary too. She's actually from Michigan. She went to high school with one of my best friends here. I go to school at Grand Valley. There's also a famous TikToker. Her name's Ariana Hubbard. I love her, and she's become one of my good friends too. So yeah, I can't even I'd sit here all day and name all these people to you. It's ridiculous how many good friendships and amazing people that really you connect with coming out of this experience.
Are you an anxious person when it comes to performing? Is it easy for you? How does it feel to think about auditioning?
I am a very anxious person. I suffer from anxiety and panic disorder. Unfortunately, a lot of that creeps in to my singing, and I have not conquered that. I don't know if I ever will. I know it's manageable, but from hearing and talking with professionals, it seems to never quite go away. There's ways to deal with it, but usually, people are nervous for big things that are important. I just have to figure out how to not let that interfere with getting the job done and executing. But I am a very nervous person, and I feel like that does sometimes creep into my performances, or sometimes no matter what anyone else says, my body will just not let me not be nervous. It just reacts to that. So
you're being filmed, and then you do these interviews where they want to know about you. And I imagine that there's a lot of things going on for any performer when you're filming American Idol or any TV show for that matter. When you're dealing with anxiety, it's kind of a lot, right? Like even if you have a great time, regardless of the experience, it must be a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And we're all there, but everyone's battling those nerves. And even people that will come up to you and be like, because people, they did that to me too. There's no reason to be nervous. Even those people who not necessarily put on that front, but who are so confident, even those type of people are getting nervous. I mean, Lucy Love. I mean, before she went into her audition, I mean, we were singing "He's Able" to a church gospel choir song. Me and her and Mary and some other guys sang that song, and I mean, we broke out in full tears and just were literally praying out loud and worshiping God, because of the how overwhelmed we felt with nerves and just wanting this, and this just being, some of our last chances. I'm not really sure about Hollywood Week, but definitely after my audition in Vegas, I hadn't made a single friend that did not believe in God and didn't share faith with me. I hadn't met a single person, like not even just like friend wise, like even people that I just met in the lobby and met coming out of the audition room before me, or on the bus or on the plane ride over. I didn't meet a single person who didn't share that faith, that at least that I can remember. And I think that was a really big takeaway from my audition, even before we went back to LA. And it was something that I so greatly appreciated. And I think that that's a big reason why you see a lot of these people who are still on the show or who aren't are so close. It's the relationship and the hand-in-hand faith walk to God, truly.
Did that help calm some of your anxiety, knowing that they were also sharing that with you?
I talked to Kevin and Wayani and Jaina and Lucy, and they kind of just, they were reassuring me and helping me. Sam too. I mean, just like really being there for me. And I prayed with Lucy. And once I got on that stage and I started singing, it just felt like there were angels over me. And it was like, okay, like you can do this. And I felt like I was actually performing. And I felt like a little bit of it did go away then versus like my audition. I was crazy nervous. So yeah, I do think a little bit of that helped in my second performance.
Your first performance we did get to see. One thing I want to ask about right away is, even though this came after your actual singing, I think any contestant who gets hugged by Lionel Richie has got a lot to say about that and how it felt to be recognized by this person. So
it was so cool because I've said this before, but Lionel is so in tune with his emotions that I don't think that it is a cloud of judgment when it comes to listening to someone sing. And I say that because I got a lot of comments before people even heard me sing, just off seeing me hug him on TV. And after of, he, feeling bad for, people who have rough stories that don't really sound that good. I've gotten a lot of those comments. And I'd have to say, Lionel was very honest. Like, yes, he hugged me. But the biggest thing is that he saw potential, and he said, you need a little bit of adrenaline. You need a little bit of something to shake those nerves off. But he could hear through it. And I think that that's why he's a judge behind the panel and not behind the screen. When you're actually judging people and trying to figure out who they are as an artist, you're not going to do that by dismissing them because you can't hear through what normal performers go through, which is nerves and being scared and having a fear of failing, and letting that kind of sink through instead of using those nerves and using that fear and letting it kind of empower you to do better and to remember that this is all, muscle memory and things that you have done 100 times over. And I think that that's really what makes him a good coach. So to share that hug and that moment and those tears with him meant everything. And it was a relief. It was a relief for me because I was able to understand that me, like many other contestants, I don't have to come on here right now and sound like Whitney Houston because I'm not there yet. But I did need the three of them to help me get to where they know I could be as an artist. I think that was the most important thing. Like, yes, like the hug was great. I love that. And I do love him. But what he says is probably the most powerful thing out of the three of them. So
Yeah, no, taking a few steps back, just walking in that room. Obviously, we got to see your audition, but most of the time, stuff does get cut for TV, and I'm wondering if you can think of anything that they didn't show, like if some moments weren't seen on TV.
so before I even started singing, when I walked in the room, I was in there for a good 5-7 minutes before I even started singing. Like I was there for over 5 minutes. Luke was talking to me, Lionel was talking to me, Katie was talking to me, while the pictures and the interviews were showing the world, my story, I was talking to them about it. And we had a bit of a longer conversation than what was our conversation, and me telling them my story and us kind of going back and forth was longer than what was shown because of, the time and the Oscars. And the other contestants. So they were kind of talking to me, how it is to be, and I think Luke said this on the TV screen, but how to be so forgiving, and even though you've been through all of these things, and they were kind of just like reassuring me and telling me that like they wanted to help me get better, and they wanted me to use this as an experience to kind of get my foot in the water. It was is what Katie would say. And they also talked to me about performing and getting out more. Then this was like before I even started singing. Katie was like, "Do you perform anywhere?" And I was so nervous because I was sitting there and I was like, I don't want to say no, but like, no, I haven't. Like I haven't gone and did any of that. So we had an entire conversation that, I can even barely remember all of it before I even started singing.
I think some of the most magical moments on the show are with contestants that don't have as much performance experience, because there is a growth to be had, and no matter how far you make it, even if it's only one round, 2 rounds, just to have the platform and the experience and the opportunity to learn. I feel like it doesn't necessarily matter, right, to come into a competition and if you've had all this time on a stage or not, because it can be pretty special just to get the chance to compete and learn from judges and just being on stage, getting the exposure.
I totally agree. And now I have it, now my first one is done. And I think that was the biggest thing. That was the biggest thing for me, no matter what, is that like I finally I did it. And I don't like saying this because I'm not on any type of agenda, but I do feel like there were a lot of people who were on American Idol this season who have already done this time and time again. And not even like just American Idol, with other shows, they've been performing, and whether it's like in huge churches where the audience every single Sunday is over 100, 200, 300 people, they've had a lot of experience with this already. And that was so intimidating, and that brought a lot of nerves. The fact that people have literally been doing this for years and years and years on end, and you could confidently tell and say that was obviously my first time.
For someone who's never done it, I feel like it must actually, I'm guessing, feel pretty good to say that you've been there and done it, because even if, I got to be honest, I can see how, from my perspective as a viewer, it's not the most level playing field. At the same time, those of you guys that haven't had as much experience, that haven't been out there on other shows, bigger crowds, whatever, you're all competing, you've all been there, you've all done it. So it's almost like, okay, maybe not as fair for the competition, but you still went out there and beat out hundreds of thousands of people to get in front of the judges and then make it to Hollywood Week and be one of the few hundred, right? Like that's kind of my thing as a viewer. I get what you mean about, it's kind of wild seeing all the people that have done different shows and stuff.
Yeah, it was. I was like, every single minute someone was saying, "Oh yeah, they were on. Oh yeah, they were on. Oh yeah, they were on." I mean, I think they were saying there was someone who was previously on American Idol and made like top 8 like years
Oh
ago.
yeah.
And I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to not feel intimidated when you are insecure in yourself as an artist, because you don't know who you are, because I wouldn't have considered myself as an artist before, during, or after American Idol. I still struggle to find out who I am and what I want to do. So I kind of do a bunch of different things. But like when you are not that confident and you've never done this before and you don't believe in yourself as much as you should, it gets so intimidating and you're just like, oh my gosh, what is going on? Like there are people who have been top 3 on The Voice on this show. There's people who have won singing shows internationally on this show right now. What am I doing here? And that's just the real thing that people don't want to admit. They don't want to admit that there's a lack of confidence. They don't want to admit that they are intimidated. They don't want to admit that they're a little bit out of their league. But I will say that because I think it's an important reminder, and it keeps me grounded and it keeps me humble, and it lets me know. It kind of reminds me that like you can't want to be like other people. You can't try to be like other people. You can't feel bad because people are 10 levels ahead of you, because I truly believe everybody is where they are for a reason. And I think trying to chase and to hurry up and grab something that's not ready for you yet is more damaging to yourself than anything. Like you have to stay humble and stay on your path and work. It's not just going to happen. It looks easy for everyone else when they've already done it 1,000 times. It looks easy for everyone else because they've spent these many years putting in the work, and you've spent not that long. That's something that I had to remind myself, is that I haven't done this for forever. It's been a couple years since I've taken singing seriously. And so I really need to learn to be patient with myself, and be graceful. And I think that that's just a message that needs to be to the general public, is just be graceful. Like your timing is your timing. So.
Amen. I mean, I think grace applies with these shows, that I think that's so needed to be said when it comes to the comparison element and just the criticism element in general, because people are very critical of artists and contestants in general, regardless of their standing in the industry. You read the comments online, and it seems like with every year that passes, people get more and more unfiltered and say things that are more and more, unsympathetic. And as you're talking about us being mindful and aware of what's really going on, it just makes me think about, I feel like I've heard a lot of contestants, I mean, even when we were talking to Ashley, like, we kind of had that conversation about, people not understanding what you guys are going through, just from a television stand. Like, forget being an artist. You're filming a TV show and everything that comes with doing that.
And people are not ever going to know what the next person is going through unless they do it, or unless they see firsthand how it is, honestly. And I appreciate Ashley for just saying that. Like it's real. Like it's not an excuse. Like you do not know what it is like to be in the public eye. You get to hide behind a screen and give an opinion, even if it's unwanted. But you don't know the comments and the videos and feedback, wanted or unwanted. It's like another roadblock to get over as an artist, or as someone who's aspiring to be an artist, or who's on TV or in the public eye. Like that's just like another thing. Like, you have to battle with yourself and your confidence, and then you have to battle with other contestants. You have to battle to stay on the show. You have to battle with waking up early, being up all day, not getting that much sleep, traveling, and then you're under the public eye, and then you're maybe going to air, and then you're not, and then you did air or you didn't air, and now the world is watching you, and 80% of the comments are super nice, but 20% of the comments does the most damage. And I think there's so much that goes into it that doesn't get talked about a lot. Like you said, like grace and all of it is really like what gets you through. And that was a big thing for me. I was like, I'm reading the comments, and I was crying in Cheesecake Factory because someone said something super mean to me, and I was like, I lied on those psychological tests that I had to take to get on this show. Like, I'm not okay sometimes with some of the things that people say, but then I was like, I did a really huge thing, and I didn't think I would make it this far, but I did. And it was, and I was like, I'm proud of me. And so I kind of just stopped reading the comments and lived through it, I guess. It was hard, but
While you're there doing it, it's probably just overwhelming or focusing on your performances, right? Like, especially Hollywood Week, it's like there's not even the time yet to process what you're all going through.
I'll be honest. I spent some time with some different contestants. I think I spent the most time with Lucy Love, and Megan. Especially spent a lot of time with Megan in Vegas and a little bit in Hollywood, but mostly I was, I was gassed. I was tired. I was in my room trying to catch up on sleep. It was busy a lot in Vegas because I had a story. Usually people that have story, and there were quite a few people had a story. Pretty much everyone, even the contestants who are favored at best right now, have a story, and so those type of people were extremely busy during filming all of this, and I got a bit of my experience taken away because of my story. So it was really hard to connect with a lot of contestants while I was there. I was trying to focus as best as I could on my performance, because I was so gassed. I was still in school. I was having issues with my family. It was a whole other thing. And part of my story was, kind of taking me away from being with everyone else and getting to share the experiences, the good and the bad, and the struggles with other contestants because of that. So I think that for me personally sucked. It sucked. Not that I want my story to go away. I stand with it. I'll stand with it until I die, because it's real. It does make me who I am. But it did take me away from having an experience, especially in Hollywood Week, and I didn't like that. So I don't know. I don't really have like the greatest memories in Hollywood Week like I did during my audition because I was so busy and focused on me, which is not a bad thing, but like relating to those other artists who were there and those contestants was very, very small for me because I didn't spend that much time with them.
The timing can be completely off when it comes to, like, 2 weeks later, you could be in a great headspace. Things could be a lot calmer, but you had to be out there beginning of December when things were not as easy, and it just goes that way. But that's how it is for a lot of people. I mean, if you're talking what, 120, 30, 50 people,
Yeah.
so a good fraction of them probably were either stressed or beat or stuff going on. I am curious what we didn't see. Did you work with any of the alumni mentors before your performance challenge?
It was really just like Clay Aiken and David Archie. Worked and talked with them a little bit about confidence. That was what I chose. It's hard because it didn't get aired, and I can't even. I wish I could sit here and tell you, what I remember. I can't even remember. I genuinely, I can't even remember what they said. It was a little bit along the lines of, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people that audition for American Idol a year that also have a story, that also have a voice, but you were picked. And I think that that's the biggest thing that I carried with me into my performance, because the internet's going to say what they want to say. The other people, contestants or families or judges or producers, are going to say what they're going to say. But, you were picked for a reason. And I think that that's the biggest thing that people can say. You can say to yourselves in those moments is that I was picked for a reason. I'm here for a reason. I have a purpose. Let's get it done. Let's execute. That's the biggest thing that he said, Clay. That was the biggest thing that he said. How many people tried out this year and who's sitting in these seats right now? I still say that to myself all the time, even going back. And sometimes when I was, reading those comments around March 12th, when I first aired, it really got me at first. But then I was like, I'm not the only person in the world with a story, with a mom who abused drugs and no father and a really inconsistent life growing up. I'm not the only person that experienced that. I'm not the only person that experienced that with a good voice. I'm not the only person that experienced that with potential, but I was chosen. So I try to just like remember that part.
It's set up to be so much pressure to make you think this is everything, but it's one thing. What are your thoughts on not getting through and then sort of being in that headspace where they want you to kind of feel like it's this like sad thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll be honest, it really just hit me when you said that, because kind of when I was talking about earlier, when I said this crazy thing happened to me, I've done it so many times and I never believed that it would actually happen. Up until this point, no one's ever said what you just said to me. No one's ever said, this is just one thing. This one thing that you thought was impossible and now it's here. It's just one thing. I've never thought of it that way. And my mind's always running, oh, that was my chance. That was it. That was what was meant for me. But you're right. It is just one thing. And it's reality TV. So they try to make it be like this is such a devastating thing, and it was at the time. And that's valid because it's probably one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me. But as these months go by, life does go on, and it was just one thing, and it's not a part of me anymore. It's a part of me in terms of a memory and something that I'll hold, but it's not something that I can still do. It's not something that I can't just, start a video off by saying, hey, I was on American Idol this year, and then it blow up. I can't just say, hey, to a record label company and say, I was on American Idol this year, you should sign me. You know what I mean? Like, it's not something that I can use to get ahead right now. Usually, it's kind of hard to do that when you don't make it out of Hollywood Week, let alone the first round of Hollywood Week. They try to make it seem devastating and like it is the worst thing in the world, but it's just another block. And for me, what I will say that I did pick up on is that Luke and Katie and Lionel, they asked me to trust them. So whether that was me being able to move forward on the show or not, I think that what happened to me happened for a reason. And I think that maybe just having this opportunity and having other people look at me, or having it start me up as being an artist and figuring out if I want to share my music to the world and what I want to share, I think this opportunity and them giving it to me and saying yes to me in the first place was part of that. You need to trust us. I think being able to perform again in Hollywood Week was a part of that. You need to be able to trust us. I think being eliminated was a part of that. You need to be able to trust us. It's really not that devastating if you really pay attention, because they are human. They do care. You have to listen and remember. It's hard to remember in moments like those when you have those celebrities sitting in front of you, but you have to remember the things that they say to you, because it is important, good and bad. It is important. You have to carry that with you. And that's something that I do carry with me. I think that my drive to learn the guitar and the piano and take vocal lessons and write music came from being eliminated and being on the show. And I wouldn't have that because I wasn't doing that before I tried out for American Idol. And I wouldn't have that if it wasn't for them giving me that opportunity. So yeah, I think that you're right. Like, it's just another thing. It's not that devastating. And I wish I would have figured that out months ago, I guess.
Just out of curiosity, it's a little out of order, but I'd never asked you what song you sang in Performance Challenge.
Yeah, I ended up singing I'll Never Love Again by Lady Gaga. I was so comfortable with it. I had done it a bajillion times. I personally thought that it was stronger than I Believe by Fantasia, and I actually motioned for that song to happen. And it's not necessarily that I was told no, but it was like, because I'm telling my story, and then I'm going to sing a song that relates to it. That's kind of what everyone does on American Idol, or at least a good handful of people. So it kind of just fit. There was really no reason to go back, and it was like, then I could save that for Hollywood Week if I make it. So that's why I chose to do that. So yeah, I really didn't do anything new. Like, production had already heard me sing that song months and months and months ago, so I was super comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm. And it went well in your mind when you were on stage doing it?
Now there's a note at the end that I kind of put in there that I really should have taken out. Because I cracked on the last note. I mean, the last note of my performance, I was so mad. But I wouldn't say maybe it was a 10 out of 10, but I'll say that I did feel more comfortable than in the audition room. And I am a person that believes as long as you don't go backwards, everything will be okay. And I feel like I didn't necessarily go backwards in that performance. I will say this. I do think part of the reason that I got eliminated was because I didn't have the full package. I got on stage. I was incredibly nervous. I walked up like I didn't know what I needed to be up there doing. And I'll tell you right now, I'm a theater major, right? I'm okay with having a lot of attention on me all the time. I'll be honest about it. I'm an actress. Like that's just how actresses are. So I don't know what happened to me when I got on that stage. Like I got up there and they were like, "Why do you think you're the next idol?" And I was like, "I don't know if I'm the next idol, but I just want to da da da." If I were to ever do American Idol again, I know exactly how I would go about it. I hid, and this is a little bit of what I was talking about earlier. I hid who I was because out of intimidation, which is crazy because if you know me, I'm never to be intimidated by anyone. Out of intimidation, because I didn't feel as strong of an artist or as strong as of a singer. I hid who I was because I didn't want people to look at me and think, "Oh, the loud girl, like, whoa, you need to calm down," like all of that stuff. I hid because I felt less of myself and I didn't want to feel too much or in power over other people, and it clouded me. And I got on stage and I acted like a coward and I acted like a scary cat, and I did not know who I was when I was on that stage. Though my performance went better than I thought it did in auditions, there was no personality to me. Even in my interviews, she was like, "You just need to relax." So I was so tense. I was trying to be serious and answer her questions, and she was like, "Relax, like this is a normal thing." And I couldn't. There was something that was taking over my body that just wasn't allowing me to be who I was. So if I were to ever do a show again, especially American Idol, because I feel like it's a little bit more reality than some of the other shows, at least that I've watched, I would be who I am. And I need to do that unapologetically, or it will be very hard for me to find who I am as an artist. If I am consistently and constantly belittling myself around other people, whether that's out of intimidation or being envy or anything like that. Like I have to be who I am. Sometimes I feel like a doormat. Sometimes I feel like I have to be less than who I am, and I need to stop doing that. So that is something where I'm like, that needs to change. So I just went on a whole ramble, but I just felt like that's something that I need to say out loud, and I need to just admit that. So
do you think your lack of confidence may have had to do with the headspace you were in? Because Hollywood Week was not a great time for you.
No, I was, yes, lack of confidence, all of that was and you know, Wayani, I mean, Wayani gave me a back scratch and made me fall asleep in the stands while we were on break because I was so nervous. So she just sat and scratched my back for an entire hour while I listened to church music and calmed me down. Sam Harness texted me, Lucy texted me, Tusa. I mean, we were sitting at a table and I mean, we were just kind of like, they were just telling me all of everything that I'm saying to you right now of what I need to do moving forward as an artist and as a better person is what they were telling me that I needed to do. But it felt too late. You know, it was the day of my performance. I was extremely nervous again. I had no confidence. And you could tell when I went on the stage and they asked me why I think I deserve to be the next idol. And I got up there and I belittled myself I would have sent me home too. It was ridiculous. So definitely the headspace that I was in, I won't do another show until I can figure out how to be more positive, how to be confident in who I am, and how to have a better headspace. You know, it's okay to have bad days. It's okay to feel a little doubt. But the way that I talk to myself, the way that I prepare myself, the way that I let others think or the way that I let other people hear what I think about myself, I never want to do that again. So I definitely think that a little bit of how I was and my lack of confidence and how that transferred over into that bad week was 100% valid because I didn't necessarily prepare myself the right way. And I feel like that also had everything to do with me going home. So, because I mean, people messed up in Hollywood Week all week long, messed up in their personal performance and the duets and the showstoppers. I messed up at the end of my song. And I necessarily wouldn't say that I deserve to be sent home for that. But I think that my entire package, because American Idol is obviously not just about the singing, but the whole package. I think there was so much missing that it was definitely valid and deserved for me to just have been stopped. So
Everything happens for a reason. It was not the right time for you. And as ridiculous as you may have felt in the moment, it was supposed to be ridiculous. And it was a learning experience for you because when we don't do well at something, we never want it to go that way again and we don't forget how it felt.
mm.
So,
yeah, it's just like, I never want to feel that again. I'm never going to do that again. And I'm going to work so hard. I get so emotional talking about this too, because the level that and the expectations that I hold myself to now are specifically because of that experience. And there's a lot of things where it's just like, I don't need to talk about that. Whether it's like with the contestants or with the judges or the experience at whole, but there's so many things where it's just like, I don't need to talk about that, but there's experiences that I've had that fuel me to just do better and set those expectations for myself, even though it wasn't the right time and I wish it would have gone different. There's nothing more that I could have done or I would have done it. And Joshua Ross, he's also he's unaired. He's one of my great friends. I love him to death. And I talked to him about this on live, and that was one of the moments where, there was quite a few people watching, so I was a little bit nervous to talk about it. But just like, I felt so ignorant in music, and I felt uneducated, and that was a big part of, like, I was so jealous and so envious that people knew how to play the guitar and the piano and these instruments, and they're signed to record labels, and they have all this music out, and they've been on all these shows. It was so intimidating for me, and it's so hard to admit that because it makes me feel like something's wrong with me, but I don't think that there is. I think as someone who's a little bit like naive in all of the music industry and starting out and don't really know anything, it's kind of easy to feel trapped in those feelings and in that way. And it wasn't personal or at anyone. It kind of was like a whole thing where it's like, I don't belong here. Like, I can't play these instruments. I don't know how to harmonize. I don't know, how to sing on pitch with a piano or a guitar. Like, I don't know anything. And that was so incredibly stressful to me. And I never want to feel that embarrassed about who I am as a person ever again. And so that's why my expectations are high. And I sing at least for an hour every day. I play the guitar at least for an hour every day. I'm like self-learning. And I just like, this experience has made me eager to never want to like feel embarrassed about who I am as a person and a singer ever again. So,
do you think that even though it's such a interesting sort of competitive field where you have people from different shows and you're comparing yourself to other contestants, the fact that you were chosen to be in the same room, do you ever think to yourself, okay, there's that validation of like, it might seem like it's hard to compete with them, but I was chosen to be in the same room as them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Lucy actually said Lucy and Wayani said the exact same thing to me the day before my performance during Hollywood Week. When we were in LA, they said the exact same thing to me. I don't think Lucy had ever played an instrument before American Idol either. And it was just like, we were just like, man, like, you know, we wish we could do that. And, you know, but when I was explaining to them how inexperienced I felt in the music world, they kind of told me, like, you know, there's people who have been here, who have been on The Voice and AGT and all these other singing shows internationally or nationally, or who are signed to record labels and all this stuff, and they have this experience. Even though there are people here, you're in this room too. So obviously there's something there that we don't see, that the world may not see, that the judges don't quite see, but they know that it could be a number of things, but you're still in here. And that's kind of what I was hinting at earlier too. Like, yeah, like I have a story, but like, that's not the only reason I'm at American Idol, because there are hundreds, thousands of other people in America who also have a story, who also tried out for this show this year and previous years, or will try out for this show in later years. So I think that was a like a little thing that I thought about and was like, well, yeah, like I guess in some capacity I deserve to be sitting in this seat. But I think that all those other feelings that I had kind of just like crept over and felt a little bit bigger than that good thing of me feeling like I deserve to be in here.
How have things like evolved since filming American Idol? I know you're a student, theater major. What have you been up to? How have like emotions evolved? What's going on?
I'm so glad you asked. Okay, so ever since my audition aired, there's a part of me that has just been like so like I needed to toughen up. And this was a great way to do it. The internet will humble you every single time. I needed to be humbled, and I needed to have some type of like strong coat around me. I think it relates to like my everyday lives, with my friendships, with my relationships, with my, like, in terms of like my family and my friends. American Idol has helped. It kind of helps you with like other parts of your life. It helped me with my stage fright for theater, because when I go and act in front of people, like I'm not necessarily scared like I am when I'm singing. And I don't know how to like even relate that to. That's a whole nother conversation. Like it's so much different with singing, but it has helped me. And like, I'm just like so much more confident. It's easy to be confident at things when you're really good at it. Not to say I'm a really good actor, but like, it's just like, it's so much easier when you're confident in something to be confident in it. So it's helped me out with that. I recently was cast in a production for my school called Animal Farm. The script hasn't been written yet, so I don't know which part that I have. So that's something that's happened. I bought a guitar. It's a Fender. And
Do you want to play for us?
I can. So I aired March 12th. I got it. I think I aired March 12th. Yeah. I got it March like 1st or 2nd. So I've only been playing for 2.5 months. I've just started playing. My friend had given me her old guitar. It was like a super old like Haynes guitar, and I had no idea. And I stopped playing. I think I played for a couple of days in December, but it was so hard. So I was like, okay, I'm going to wait till I get a better guitar so that I can actually learn. So I didn't play in January and February. A little bit I played in February actually, but it was a 2-chord song that I made up. I have to tell you about this. It was a 2-chord song that I made up, and one of the chords wasn't even a real chord.
You invented a chord.
Yeah. And I stopped playing that guitar and waited a few more weeks until I got this one. And I started writing music. That's a big thing that I've done. I've written music. My old high school back home got renovations, so they have a recording studio now. Wow. So I am going to record music this summer with a couple of family friends. I have a family friend who has a family friend who is in the music industry. He sells music equipment. And he's really good friends with a vocal coach. He's best friends with the vocal coach who has worked with SZA and Rihanna and Justin Timberlake and Dave Matthews Band and Pharrell and all those people. And has asked him to work with me. So that's something else that I'm going to figure out
Wow.
over the summer. So that's something that is magnificently
Huge.
cool.
Amazing.
And yeah, I'm going to take guitar lessons this summer, I think, with my cousin's dad. So that would be super cool, like as much as we can. And then just keep like self-teaching myself, because paying for some of them are ridiculous amounts of money for guitar lessons. I also am working with a professor for all of May here at my school. I go to Grand Valley State in Michigan, and I'm working with him. He's going to help me the whole month of May. So that would be extremely nice. So those are a few things that I've kind of just like felt like have just helped me in who I am as a person and an artist since American Idol. But here's the thing. I wrote this song. It's a country song. This is what I'm talking about when I was saying I'm still in that, like, I don't know who I am as an artist, because I sing all different kinds of music, like country, R&B. I could do some rock edge because I have, like, just a bold, powerful, kind of like loud voice. So yeah, I've done like R&B, country, like just regular pop, like songs. Like I've done all of that. So that's why I just feel all over the place right now. Like I'm trying out a whole bunch of different things. So all my songs sound completely different. And I don't know, once I get through like this nervous thing, once I get some training, get confident in who I am as a person, that maybe the sky is not the limit for me. And I have, I'll say this because I need to hype myself up too, like I do everyone else. But I truly, wholeheartedly, and honestly believe, and this is like in the most humble way possible, I do truly believe that if I give this my all and I put everything that I have into this, I'm a force to be reckoned with. And that's the second time I've said that out loud ever. And I need to say it because I need to believe it. And I want other people to believe it. And I want that to be a reminder to myself of like how hard I will work and I'll have to work in order to make that come true. And I think I owe it to myself and my mom and my family and my friends and my family who push me and who have been here, my friends on American Idol, you, the judges. I feel like I owe it. It's like something I feel like I owe to just like be serious and give it my all in order to be who I know I could be. And so, yeah, those are the things that I've kind of like taken away from American Idol. Is just like I really, really need to believe in myself. Because if I don't, I feel like I'm going to keep having that outcome that I did this year on American Idol. And I don't want that anymore.
You're a force to be reckoned with.
Yes.
You're a force to be reckoned with. I just said it 2 times. But obviously you're the one saying it, but I just thought I would say it 2 times for you. Have you heard of Courtify?
No.
It is a free website. Well, you can actually pay like a small fee, but basically you type in a song and it shows you the chords as it plays with the bars and the notes. I find it's a very easy way to learn how to play piano and guitar. So, I'm sure you're farther along than I've ever gotten, but if, you or anyone listening is needing some extra tips on just playing any of those instruments, Courtify.com, and this is not an ad, although maybe I should reach out to them and see if we can get a sponsorship going. Courtify.com for $4.99 a month. No, I just thought of that because when you said that you were self-teaching, I've tried it and I think it's kind of cool. So
yeah, well, thank you. Yes, I kind of just like look things up on YouTube and just play the video back, or sometimes I'll like wing it and just kind of like go with the chords as I think it should go. So that is very helpful. Thank you, Courtify.
So do you want to play something for us?
I'll do this. I'm kind of confident in this one a little bit more. This song is called I Want You. It's a song that I wrote when I was incredibly heartbroken. And I feel like I didn't have control over anything except for my emotions. And I decided to put the pen to the paper and write about an incredibly emotional situation that happened. I felt like I kept talking about it, I kept crying about it, and I just wanted to kind of turn into something positive. And so turning it into a song seemed like the most positive and best way for me to really articulate my feelings and my thoughts and my emotions into one space. So, yeah.
I can't wait to hear it.
I want you like she do, but you knew I was fooled. So take my hand, together we'll dance, and we'll pretend like we're just friends. So if you knew I loved you when skies are blue, what would you do? I'll fight for you, I'll fight for you, I'll fight for you, I'll fight for you. I want you, I want you, I want you, I want you, I want you. I be so scared sharing my music because I don't know if it's just me, but sometimes I just feel like it's stupid.
What?
So, but there I go again, talking bad.
We need to get out of that.
Yeah,
I heard you say the word embarrassed earlier, and I didn't want to say it, but I'm like, we got to get rid of that word.
Yeah, I know. I need to be more confident because I truly do think that it's a good song. It's just like, what about what other people think? I'm learning new things every day about music, but it is incredibly hard when you have to teach yourself everything. Like, it'd be different like if I like knew how to sing and I could hit all these riffs and runs and all this stuff and I didn't know how to play an instrument. But when you don't know how to do anything, it's just like, I don't know. It's so like I've been learning to harmonize. I've literally the whole package. Like I feel gassed in the music area of my life because like I get something with the guitar and then I try to sing with it and then it just goes right back down the drain because it's hard to play an instrument and sing at the same time, especially when you're like not very good at both. So like, and that's not like, that's not like a blow to me, but like,
who said you weren't very good at both? Was that someone else or was that you?
Well, I just mean like, I think both. I don't know. I'm just like, I am trying to give myself more grace, but like, I think I'm at the point where like playing instruments and singing and like watching things when I know when something sounds right or wrong. And I'm not quite sure how to fix it because I don't have, that knowledge and that level of an area of expertise. So that's why like I struggle so much. But like, I think that sometimes I get overwhelmed when I think about the future and like, I convince myself that I don't like have enough time to like do certain things. And that kind of overwhelms me when I'm doing stuff and like big projects or things that are going to take years and years to get good at or to develop repetition in. And that scares me. So I like to say that I take it one day at a time, but clearly I'm still hard on myself no matter what. But if you would have heard me play the guitar 2 months ago, you would be disgusted. You would throw up and you'd be shamed.
Stop that. Negative self-talk. Throw
No,
it in the trash.
there's this guy that I know. His name's Maurice Townsend. He was on American Idol season 14, I
Oh,
believe.
good.
He made the top 14. He was on there with previous judges, not with Luke, Katie, or Lionel. And I was asking him about riffs and runs. We did karaoke at a pub a few days ago on Tuesday. I said, can you learn to do riffs and runs? Because sometimes before I thought it was just like either you can do it or you can't. But he was like, pretty much everyone learns. Sometimes it comes naturally to some people, not naturally per se, but like they can figure out on their own how to do it. And he was like you can totally, like, there's once upon a time where the best people who are ever to sing never knew how to do certain things. So that's what I try to just talk to people about music, and it's like, is it possible though that I can actually do this, or am I just like hitting a dead end here, going nowhere? So I need to give myself more grace and speak to me nicely.
You're already going somewhere. You're taking those big steps. I mean, look at what you're doing. Look at how hard you're working. Look at the people you're meeting. Look at the effort you're putting in. The gas is in the tank.
Yeah.
And you're driving.
Yeah. I'm so excited though to like see where I am now and just like imagine where I would be a year later. So from March 12th has been my day where it's like next year on March 12th, I want to see where I am in all of this. And I know that there will be progress. So I'm just saying that I want there to be a significant amount of progress. I think I can accomplish that. And I have a lot of people in my corner who are wanting me to succeed and willing to help me. So that's my year thing. That's why it's like, there's a couple of people who's like, oh, I think I'm going to go back to American Idol next year, like in August this year. And I'm just like, that's too soon for me. Like I can take a hint. There's things that I got to work on, and I'm just not going to be ready by August. So
you got a lot of amazing things in the works.
I know I need to be more patient. I'm somebody like, I wake up and I want something done tomorrow. No, it's not going to be like that. So yeah, but I was for this one, because I was this close. I'm like, I have to give up. Like my hands had blisters. I remember the first time I actually played a song, I learned a song. It was Ceilings by Lizzie McAlpine. And it's a very hard song. There are many, many, many different chords in that song. But I was just sitting here, and once I finally got it, I just kept going out. Tears were on my guitar. I was crying while still playing because I had finally got it after hours and hours and days and days and days of trying to just learn a song on the guitar. And I finally got it, and I just sat and cried playing the song.
Oh my gosh, this is so much fun talking to you. It's such a pleasure. I mean, I know some feelings there's some feelings in there. I think that's part of just being an artist and figuring everything out. But I'm so appreciative that you shared them all here. So Reette, any social media or anything that you want to plug before we head out?
Yes, guys, please go follow me on Instagram at Reette Thorns, on TikTok at Reette Thorns, and on Facebook at Reette Thorns.
Awesome. And guys, if you enjoyed this conversation, make sure that you follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Unaired Podcast. Please subscribe wherever you're listening or watching. Leave a comment, review, let us know how we're doing. Thank you so much. Reette, thank you so much as well for being a part of American Idol Unaired.
Yes, and thank you for having me.